Hello everyone, welcome to another Flesh and Blood video. In this one, we are reviewing an updated Viktor Goldmane High and Mighty list, as we haven't talked about Viktor in a while, and Mastery Pack Guardian just came out with a few pretty good new clashing cards for him. Of course, we'll probably take a look at Viktor again going into the next set at some point, but with so many heroes getting expansion slot cards that already seem extremely powerful, I'm not sure when we'll end up getting to him, so I thought it'd be a good idea to do Viktor now, as well as since he got some pretty good new cards from High Seas, like, as you can see here, Riches of Trobaldani. But with all of that, let's get started. Viktor is a 40 health, 4 intellect guardian hero. He has 2 abilities. The first time each turn you make a gold token from an effect you control, you draw a card. And then the first time you would fail to win a clash, instead you may destroy a gold you control, and if you do, put one of the revealed cards on the bottom of the deck, and then clash again. So pretty much he just wants to win his clashes. He has a lot of effects that make him gold, because getting gold is a bonus draw. You can get gold by winning a clash with the Golden Sun, pitching a Riches, winning the clash from Test of Strength. Mainly those. We also do play some, Visit. We also do play some other effects that make gold, like Crown of Dominion. We also play the Aura Magus, as it is gold. Of course, neither of these will proc Viktor, since they're not during our turn. Well, Crown doesn't proc it because it's in pregame, but Aura Magus won't proc it because it's already equipped. Doesn't matter. These are gold for our gold synergy effects, which is very nice. Viktor, I think, is a really good hero. He's probably still the best guardian in the game. We'll see how he fares after the Super Slam comes out, but Guardian isn't in the best spot right now. I think Viktor is in the best spot of any of the Guardians, though. For equipment, starting with the weapon, Miller's Grindstone. This is a 4-power, one-handed hammer. It costs 3 to attack with, just like every other one-handed hammer. And when it attacks, or when it hits a hero, you clash with them. If you win, you mill their top card, so the card they clashed with. But if you lose, this gets a -1 counter. Personally, I am not the biggest fan of the Miller's Grindstone. I play with Titan's Fist if I have to play Viktor. However, Miller's Grindstone is the popular option. I believe it's also the most winning option from what I've seen. So, I think Miller's Grindstone is the choice that most people will play. I personally just don't like the card. Every once in a while you'll have a random game where you lose a clash and it'll get a -1 counter, and then for the rest of the game it just takes one card and doesn't chip, which really sucks for Guardian. Like I said, if you want to play Miller's, you can. It is the preferred option, but I personally prefer Titan's Fist. So that's why Miller's Grindstone is in the list over Titan's Fist. Aura Magus is Viktor's shield. It's just 2-block temper. It's a strict upgrade to the shield that everyone else plays, because this one counts as a gold. Crown of Dominion is our main helmet. The reason we're playing this is because we want the gold token for an effect like Visit the Goldmane Estate, which needs us to have 3 gold in play. Since the helmet and Aura Magus count as gold, and this makes us a gold, we'll immediately get those might tokens. As well as generating the gold is useful for many effects, like pitching it to cycle cards out of our hand, sacking it to Viktor's ability, sacking it to the Golden Sun, all the things you want to do with gold inside of Viktor. For our chest piece, we're playing the Final Spring Tunic, as we're a deck that likes to play 3 copies of Pummel, and generally Pummel is pretty good off a Tunic. Gauntlets of Ironwill is just the best glove that Guardian can be playing, pretty much hands down. And then finally, Quick Dodge Flexors, as they just give you so much block value in a turn, thanks to being able to pitch a blue and then getting 6 block out of it. Overall, I think Viktor's equipment are pretty standard. I mean, Guardian plays pretty much all the same equipment, maybe except the Crown of Dominion. You never really see any Guardian play that one except for Viktor, but generally, this is what Viktor has been playing for a while, with the new addition of Quick Dodge Flexors from the Hunted. Moving on to the main board, you can see this is a 42 card main board. I think one of the lowest main boards I've ever shown in a video. This is because Viktor is a deck that generally builds his deck based on what he's playing against. Either he's putting in a lot of cards to fat stack, or he's trying to be as aggressive as possible. It really depends on the matchup. We have a bigger inventory because of that. But these are cards that you're probably playing in most of your matchups. Starting with 3 copies of red and blue Chokeslam. The blue Chokeslam is here because, well, it's a very good blue. If you'll notice from a lot of these blues, we have cards like Thunderquake, Macho Grande, Cranial Crush. They're just the biggest blues that we can play because of clashing. We want our cards to have a really big yellow number, and Guardian just has those anyway in their blues, so we're playing the blue Chokeslam just because it's a blue that we're already playing at red. Red Chokeslam is a 4 for 8 that makes it so attacks can't gain power during the next action phase. Just a very powerful effect that is really good versus a lot of decks right now in the game. 3 copies of Command and Conquer, as it's Command and Conquer. It does everything you ever want. If you don't have CNCs, you can replace them with very many of 2 for 6 disruptive cards. Just they won't be as effective. And then the last red in the main board is 3 copies of Spinal Crush, as, again, a lot of decks that use Go Again, even decks that, are 1 attack turn decks, they have Go Again for, like, non-attack actions and stuff. And even in the Guardian Mirror, this is just a 5 for 9, so you really can't complain about that. Moving on to the yellows, we of course are playing 3 copies of the Golden Sun, as this is Victor's main specialization. This one is a 4 for 7 that, as an additional cost, allows us to destroy a gold we control to give it +3 in overpower, making it a very powerful game ender. If it wins a clash by it being revealed, we also make a gold token, which means that we're going to draw it because of the Golden Sun's effect. Very powerful, really good. I think this card is so awesome. And then the last yellow is a single copy of Riches of Trapaldani. If you don't have this card, because I think it can be a little pricey, you can replace it with another blue. We do only play 2 copies of Headbutt. You could easily play a 3rd copy of Headbutt over Riches if you don't own it. But if you do own it, I suggest you play it, because upon pitching this card, you'll make a gold token, which means you'll trigger Victor's ability and draw a card on your own turn, or on an opponent's turn. If you pitch it to an effect like the Quick Dodge Flexors, you will also draw the card. So very powerful, one of the better cards printed for Victor in recent times. Finally, let's just talk about all the blues because they're all pretty basic. We already talked about Chokeslam. Cranial Crush is here because it's just a big attack. You're never really playing it. Same as something like Thunderquake. It's not going to be played. It's just here because it's an 8 power 3 block blue. Debilitate is another very good disruptive card. As we looked at last week with Valda, we played Red Debilitate and Chokeslam. We're not playing Red Debilitate here because Chokeslam is a little better, but you still want to play the Blue Debilitate. 3 copies of Disable because it is a very good disruptive effect, and it has 7 power. Only 2 copies of Headbutt. Headbutt's actually pretty nice in this deck compared to Valda, because Valda could actually block with her helmet and lose it. But because we're playing Crown of Dominion in most of our matchups, Headbutt actually will generally always be on. So it can easily come in for 7 and disrupt the enemy, or come in for 7 or 6 and help disrupt the enemy helmet. Either way, it's a 3 block blue. That's why it's in the deck. 3 copies of Macho Grande, as just like the Golden Sun, it can be a game ender, but also it's just a high power 3 block blue. 3 copies of Thunderquake, same reason as Cranial Crush. Thunk and Wallop are actual blues that we're playing, not because they have a high amount of power. These say if they win a clash, we make a token. Wallop makes a Vigor, and Thunk makes a Might. Just good cards that we want to be flipping to win our clashes to get a little extra value. And then the last card in the main board is not an attack, but it is Visit the Goldman Estate. It is a 1 cost blue block 3 with Go Again that makes a gold token, and if we have 3 or more gold tokens, or not gold tokens, sorry, 3 or more gold in general, we make a Might token. This one's pretty powerful as, like I said before, the Crown will make us a gold at the start of the game. The RMA just is a gold, which means after we make the gold from Visit, we are at 3, giving us at least 3 Might tokens. If we can get these later, once we stacked up a fair amount of gold, it comes in for even more Might tokens, and this is sort of how we end games after chipping our opponent down slowly through weapon swings or other attacks. Generally, Victor's main board's going to look something like this. Maybe some blues different, but realistically, you're keeping all the reds, you're keeping the yellows. Your blues might change a little bit. You might swap Headbutt for something else, whatever. It's pretty much the same. Where Victor generally differentiates is the inventory, so let's take a look at that one. As you can see, we have a pretty thick inventory, so let's start off by looking at the equipment. Anothos is going to be a weapon in this inventory just because it's a bigger hammer that comes in our slower matchups where we're not always blocking, we're just trying to kill. We're playing Crown of Providence, as there are some matchups where we want the extra block on the helmet and don't really care much about the gold we're generating. And then we, of course, play 2 copies of Arcane Barrier. I do prefer 3 in my list, but a lot of Guardian lists are swapping just to 2 right now because Kano isn't as prominent as of a deck, but I swear he will always be creeping back. So we're playing the Null Rune boots and the Null Rune gloves because the only boot and glove that we're playing are fulling block cards. Versus Wizard, we're going to be playing the Crown of Dominion. We might be choosing to go with the Nothos, but if we don't go with the Nothos, the RMA just counting as gold does matter because we can sack it to Victor if we somehow lose a clash versus a Wizard. Sack it to the Golden Sun, or it counts as a gold for a visit the Goldman Estate. So the shield there is actually pretty useful if we decide to keep it in play, but as I said, the gloves and the shoes are pure blocking, so we're playing AB for them. Next is the rest of the inventory. Crush the Weak is another powerful red attack. It is a 3 for 7 that if it crushes, attacks with base power 3 or less can't be played during the next action phase. This card's very good versus Assassin and Ninja, 2 decks that can generally give Guardian a little hard of a time as they are tricky and go over your attacks, especially one like Victor who is less inclined to play defense reactions in favor of cards that block and clash, as defense reactions also don't win clashes, which does generally hurt you. So Crush the Weak can just stop Assassin entirely since pretty much all their attacks are 3 base power and gets like half of Ninja's arsenal, which is really powerful, making it a must block. 3 copies of Enlightened Strike, 3 copies of Zealous Belting, and 3 copies of Rouse the Ancients for our aggressive plan. Last week we saw Rouse the Ancients in the main board for Valda Bright Axe, or not Valda Bright Axe, whatever Valda's new name is for Valda. Because, well, we don't care about clashing in Valda. In this deck we do, and putting another 0 power blue in our deck generally hurts. Our main board only has 4 cards in our deck that don't have power, being 3 Visit and the Riches, which are incredibly powerful cards. Whenever we want to add in blocks, or defense reactions, or pummels, whatever it be, we need to take a risk of we're adding more cards in our deck that don't win clashes. Rouse the Ancients is one of them, and having that card in our main board generally hurts us. But there are matchups where we need to go a lot wider. We don't care much about winning clashes, instead we just want to win the game, so we're bringing in Rouse the Ancients for those, same as Zealous Beltings, which are very good with the Pommel, with the Anothos, sorry. Also good with Pommel. E-Strike is going to come in more often than the other 2, as this one actually does block 3, has 5 power to win clashes, can be played on brick hands of full reds, does sort of everything. This card is just generally a good card, but it's in the inventory since it's not an every matchup card. 3 copies of Pummel, as Pummel is a very big disruptive tool. Remember your triggers, ladies and gentlemen. Also, the damage that it inflicts over is generally game winning, honestly. 4 chip damage plus a discard is insane. Finally, we have some extra tech and our blocking cards. For our blocking cards, we have Test of Iron Grip and Test of Strength. These are just good blocking cards. You'll notice that Trounce is not in the deck because Trounce sucks. I hate Trounce. Trounce never wins for me. It's out. It's gone. You can see Trounce. I conceded the Miller's Grindstone. I'm not conceding the Trounce. Don't play Trounce. I don't like the card. 3 Test of Strength is the OG. If you win, you make a gold. Great, that draws you a card. Test of Iron Grip is the new one. This is sort of the exact opposite. Instead of the winner making a gold, they discard it. The loser discards a card. If there was a winner, obviously, right? So this is sort of the inverse. It is a little worse for you to win because you want to make the gold to draw a card. But it is better for you if you lose because you could block with this as the last card in your hand, thus not having to discard. Obviously, that would suck because that means you can't swing with Miller's back, but and also you're blocking with this last. But if you can actually win, making them discard can be a little worse for you because you'd rather make the golden draw, but making them discard does ruin some of their plays. So this card is very powerful. It is better than Trounce by far. If you're going to play one or the other, play this over Trounce. And then finally, 3 copies of Shelter from the Storm, just because it's a good versatile card. It's another D-React. If you don't own Shelter from the Storm, you can play Sink Below, as Sink Below is another good D-React, but Shelter from the Storm is very good versus Assassin and Ninja as well because of its discard ability. So you could also go for the instant that does the same thing as Shelter. I'm blanking on the name, even though I play the card a ton in Asilia. You could play that instead. It's perfectly up to you. You don't need Shelter. You can just play Sink Below or that card instead. And then the last 4 cards in the inventory are 3 copies of Blow for a Blow and 1 copy of Midas Touch. These are purely in the deck for our Gravy Bones matchup. Guardian is a very difficult deck to, or not Guardian, I'm sorry. Necromancer and other ally decks are very difficult for Gravy to face. You don't need these versus Prism because, well, she's not too much of an ally deck. You could still just go face and kill the angels. But Gravy, you have to kill the allies or he's going to set up a board and kill you. The reason we're on these specifically, that we've seen other techs played inside of Victor. There's Performance Bonus, which is a 0 for 3 that gets go again if it's played from your arsenal and has on hit to make it gold. We've seen that one be playing Victor. I think that one's pretty good. But personally, I like Blow for a Blows and the 1 Midas Touch. Blow for a Blow is a 2 for 4 that gets go again if you have less life than your opponent. And on hit, it does 1 damage to any target. So this can be used to deal with multiple allies. There are several allies that have 1 health that you just want to get rid of. Limpet, Rigor Mortis, and Oyston, all of 1 health. And Rigor Mortis and Limpet are problems. So you being able to swing 4 into a bigger ally, either it be a Swabby or an Anka, or blanking on the other one, Sawbones, either any of them, and killing it with the 4 power, and then since this is on hit of anything, you get to send the 1 damage into the other ally. It just lets you clear them out really consistently. As well as you're probably going to be lower health against the Gravy Bones. And then the 1 copy of Midas Touch to help you deal with a little bit of the bigger allies if need be. Yes, you're giving them 6 gold or however much gold. It doesn't matter. You're getting rid of the ally and that's what you care about. At the point in the game where you're actually playing the Midas Touch because they put down one of those really big guys, then, I mean, they're not going to use the gold for anything at that point anyway. It doesn't matter. They already know the order of their whole deck. Their allies are already half gone. Whatever. Although, yes, it can be annoying. That's why we're only playing 1 Midas Touch. If you don't want to play Midas Touch, you can just play Performance Bonus. I think if you were going to play Performance Bonus, I would play 2 Blow for a Blow and 2 Performance Bonus over the 3 blows and the 1 Midas Touch. But that is going to be all for the video. I do have the Titan's Fist down here because I prefer it. But Victor, I think, is pretty good. He's definitely the best Guardian. We'll see how he is next set. I think both the Guardians, at least Lyeth, I think Lyeth is going to be a fan favorite and pretty powerful. We have to see more cards that Pleiades gets access to, but Victor is Victor. He is the Guardian. He replaced Bravo as the Guardian. When you think of Guardian, you think of Victor. And thanks to Mastery Pack Guardian and High Seas, Victor got some really nice new cards. Riches of Trobaldani, Test of Iron Grip. Those are the only 2 cards that are really of note. I guess we do play Headbutt in this deck, but that's not really a card of note. So Guardian is definitely a little bit stronger. It's definitely not the best class in the game. That still goes to probably Assassin at this point, but other than that, Guardian is fine. That is going to be the end of the video. Next week, not sure what we're going to take a look at, but there's some pretty cool stuff we could take a look at. So, with all that said, I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.